Welcome back to the For Real Though Show. I am your host, Christopher Keith. If you like us, please subscribe on YouTube at the number 4 REALTHOSHOW. We are back to discuss something with our first returning champion. She's been with us before. And so thank you for being, we told you she was going to come back. So no big deal. We knew she has to be here. She is the official For Real Though Show political consultant, political commentator. Yes, everybody's got to have them.
You.
Joy Reid got hers, right? Uh, Tiffany Cross has hers. Jonathan Capehart has his. Anderson Cooper has his. I got mine. This is mine. All right. So we're here to talk about runoffs, insurrection, and roasting chickens. Okay. And right now, as you may know, Shonte used to be the alderperson for the city of Moline Acres. And right now, she got out of politics for a while, but she's back in the thick of it now as the legislative assistant to newly elected St. Louis Councilwoman Shalonda Webb. Shout out Shalonda Webb from
Shout out, shout out.
Port Arthur, Texas, home of
Port Ar-
Stephen Jackson, home of Bomani Jones, home of the mayor who tell us about that mayor again. What
He
is it?
leaned in.
He leaned in,
He
right.
said, you better call on Jesus.
Better call on
I
Jesus.
believe they coming.
so yeah,
Everybody got
Port,
some from Port Arthur.
Port Arthur's dope. Everybody I've ever heard come out of Port Arthur is dope. So obviously, Shalonda's gonna be dope, and she's got a dope person representing her. So hey, but before we get started, tell us about our new councilwoman in St. Louis County.
She is a dynamic individual. She's actually an executive, a manager at the Boeing company. She's been there for about 22 years. They've been here that time. Graduate of HBCU Fisk University,
Fisk,
member
okay.
of Kappa Alpha sorority, and I ain't gonna do all incorporated and all the other chapters and all. I don't know all that word, all those words, but she's a real Southern girl, really analytical. She cares deeply about the community. I don't help anybody I don't believe in, and I damn sure don't work for nobody I don't believe in.
Right,
So
right.
she's very passionate. She has a plan. She works really hard to beat an incumbent and another candidate 2-1 says a lot about how hard she works because you can't win by a landslide if you're not working hard. So she swears in on Tuesday, and we are looking forward to kicking ass and taking initials because we ain't got time to take names.
All right, all right. We're gonna shorten it up. We're gonna maximize our efforts here.
That's right. That's right.
Okay. What is her general motivation and platform for running?
Fighting for North County's future was the general motivation. As you know, North County is a predominantly African American area, and a lot of times it's forgotten. And there's been leadership where it's not even a factor. And for instance, when we had this pandemic, this global pandemic, this area was affected worse. Probably the most people affected came out of the zip codes that are in North County. The most deaths came out of the zip codes in North County. So what her plan is to first of all bring in an economic development engine, and not just a transactional situation. A lot of folks, when they are doing economic development, it's transactional. I'll give you this for this, but there's no long-term plan for developing areas and staying and longevity. It's a lot of rental areas. So we have plans on cleaning those up and making sure that we get rid of a lot of dumping out in North County, because of course that's, sometimes that's what they think about us. So there's that. We are dealing with the situation now. I don't know if you saw that on the news yesterday. A police dispatcher used the N-word, referring to a Black police officer over the radio.
Okay, no, I didn't hear that. So
And yet our police chief seems to think there's no racism in the police department. So
all right, so break that down. We need details because you got the county, you got
well,
the
it just
city.
happened yesterday.
Okay, all right. Tell us what you know
No,
so far.
so no, well, a St. Louis County Police dispatcher, I guess, used the N-word over the radio, referring to one of the Black police officers. They immediately took him off the radio and sent him home.
It was a
They're
guy.
investigating.
It was a
Yes,
gentleman.
yes.
Okay, all right.
They are investigating. So we have some issues with lawsuits and just the morale in the police department isn't the best. And so one of the things that she wants is really genuinely interested in is making sure that policing is equitable, policing is diverse, and policing does not always end in a Black man being killed on the streets unarmed.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations to her. Congratulations to you.
Thank
And I
you.
already know you're gonna do great things.
Black
So,
women.
Black women, hey, it's 2021. Let's get it.
Girl magic about to happen in the county.
Black girl magic, just like it happened in Georgia, and that's what we're gonna pivot to right now. So, we had the Georgia runoffs.
Yeah.
Reverend Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff, the first
Yes.
African American, the first Jewish American senators from the state of Georgia. Historic happened after the general. He actually got more voters to vote in this runoff than we did in the general election, which I thought highly impressive. I was on my two sons who live in Atlanta. I was on them big time ever since November. After the general, I was like, all right, now the work hasn't stopped yet. You got to make sure you get out here and take care of business.
Right.
And to my delight, they were already highly enthusiastic and highly motivated to get that job done. But what I want to talk to you about, first of all, is I want, we give a lot of credit to Stacey Abrams, and we're going to talk about her. But I want to talk about the intricacies of the ground game. You've run campaigns, and let's talk about the incredible logistics and ground game it takes to pull off such a great victory as what happened in Georgia.
Right.
Because I don't think people know. You know what I mean? It's easy to look at Stacey and say, wow, she brought it home.
That's a big state.
It is. So it's a lot of people and it's a lot of planning, so, but I wouldn't be able to do it myself. I don't know how to do it. So I think that everyday Americans should know what it takes to do something like this, in case they want to do it in their own states or their own cities.
It's not hard, but it is labor intensive, and we don't really want to be always in the streets, and that's a big key to even Shalonda's victory. She worked. You can say, "Hey, vote for me," all day long. You could put an ad on television, "Hey, vote for me," all day long. But if you're not touching doors, if you're not touching people, if you're not reaching out to them, of course you can't. Her team knocked on 10,000 doors. And of course, she can't reach everyone. You have to have a team. There were several organizations. First of all, let's back up and say this thing with Stacey Abrams was going on between 6 and 10 years because she knew they knew the level of work it would take to even get to the point that happened this year. And so you have to engage, and it means you got to touch people. Even like in Moline Acres, for instance, I knock doors, I touch people. But also when you go in these homes, there are anywhere between 1 and 6 people registered to vote. Fine, you can register all the people you want to. You got to get them there. And so my strategy, even in this small town, was to get the commitment, not just from one person in the home, but from everyone in the home, and get the commitment, come back and reaffirm the commitment. And then on election day, make sure you reach out and say, "Hey, did you fulfill your commitment?" And so luckily in these days and ages, you have text messages, but boy, they text the hell out of me this election year. You got texting, you got emails. And so you can constantly touch them, unlike you could back in the day when you had to go knock on their door and say, "Hey, did you vote?" Send a team out on the streets. But it's very important to engage and keep them engaged, because young folks, they are very disenchanted by the whole thing. It's so hard to find someone in their 20s or 30s who want to, in Missouri, because in other cities it's a little bit better, to want to get into this because it's dirty. And I'm gonna go off topic just a little bit, but
No,
it is
do it.
because it is dirty. And the thing is, it's dirty because we are not in the offices, because we, the clean folks, are not running for the offices. So somebody gonna sit there. And so it gets dirty because dirty people are willing to get dirty. And that's the issue. So we have to really keep people engaged and let them really understand and show them that their vote counts, but we got to follow up, and then we got to do something, and in order to keep them engaged. And the engagement is the hard part because it takes work. It takes a lot of people, getting people excited, getting them to volunteer. It takes a whole lot that some folks are not, they don't have the time. Sometimes they don't have the money, but really it don't take nothing to go knock on the door. So, and or they just don't have the work ethic to be able to go out and grind every day. This woman has a full-time job, and yet every day when she got off work, she knocked at least 100 doors. Who's going to do that? And so it's not, it's no magic thing. It's not something that, oh, it's a secret. It's work. It is absolute work. And to have these organizations in Georgia, they have worked for 10 years, upwards of 10 years to create this environment to make them excited. And the reason why there was a bigger turnout now from November is because we showed them. Now it's like, oh shit, we really can win, and now the momentum, has built because, I mean, let's be real. I love me some Joe Biden, but he wasn't a favorite. He was,
for sure. Yeah, for sure.
He was just the other dude. And so it's hard to get people excited to vote for the other dude. And so when they saw that they had that, look at what Georgia did, look what we did. Now we got excited. And now those who were maybe non-believers was like, no, we got to go ahead and finish this job and do that. Now the challenge is this, and especially now because we learned from Obama that midterm election matters.
Really
and in 2 years, y'all better have y'all asses out there voting again to swing the Senate a little more, to keep the people in the Senate and the House that you already have, if you like them. The most crucial time, we going through some hell right now, but the most crucial time is going to be that 2-year mark. And if we aren't just excited, just as engaged, if not more, then we're going to be right back where we started from.
I can only hope that for, you're Black, so you know how it is when you hear so many Black people say, voting don't count, vote don't matter, my vote don't count. So I'm really hoping that, as in Georgia, that this momentum will keep going, that people will say, will understand that their participation does matter.
Well, we got a whole nother group of kids coming up. And I think a lot of that has to do with us as parents and peers and mentors. We really have to be mindful, and we have to really get them engaged early. My sons have been engaged their entire lives. I've had them knock on doors, drop signs. I've had them do this. And you don't have to do all that. What you do have to do, though, is point out the importance of having power, and your vote is power. And to wield your power. Power concedes nothing without a demand. Never has, never will. And so if we're not going to the polls and making a demand, when these people go to Jeff City, or when they go to the State House in Washington, they are going with the interests of the people who elected them there and their self-interest too. But if Black folks ain't voting, what do I care about Black issues? And so, and it's unfortunate because you're supposed to, but that's not how this works. And even we can liken this to friendships. If my friend is not supporting me, or my friend is not showing up to my things, or who's supposed to be my friend, isn't being the friend that they should be, why should I? And so in elections, y'all didn't vote for me. What do I care about what you got going on? And that's why we have to stay, engaged, and we have to just drill it in these young people that this is your power. This is your power, and get them ready to be in office and wielding that power. And I'm just really big on that part too, because I think we aren't developing enough leaders in our children. We're just teaching them to do well, go to college, finish college, get a job, go on about your life.
Mm-hmm.
We need leaders, and we need people who have leadership abilities to have the courage and the support to step up and run for office and engage, even becoming political consultants. It helps because now you have a way to call somebody.
I tell you what, and this is something you said. My son and I, we had a conversation, and we were talking about the Georgia runoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And he made the statement to me, which I hear a lot of people say things like this, all politicians are dirty and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And what I told him was, he's a massage therapist and a musician. And I said, well, and he's very passionate about both. I mean, so much so that he's about to start teaching a class, and he's the youngest teacher that they've ever had.
Wow.
So everywhere he's gone, he's excelled, and the most sought after, the most desired massage therapist. So I gave him an example of that. I said, well, all massage therapists aren't in it, that have the passion like you have to really change people's lives. All musicians aren't, trying to make good music and really be creative, So it's like, that's because they're human. So there's a difference between the politician and politics itself. Politics is all around you. It affects everything you do, regardless of whether you're into it or not. Politics is into you. So going back to even Councilwoman Webb, could you talk about, like you said, it's a dirty business, and there needs to be people running who have the courage to stand up and understand the business they're in, understand you swimming with sharks. But to someone like my son, could you talk to him about how, as bad as he thinks it is now, if everybody in political office was the evil geniuses that he may think they are, his life would be a lot worse than it is right now.
It really would. I'm gonna say all of them ain't geniuses, but it would. With her, her husband was a state representative, and so she was peripherally involved. She helped here and there, showed up to some stuff, but in terms of political savvy, that's not something that she was ever interested in. What I've always said about me, because I'm not a politician, I'm a public servant. And this is the road that she'll be taking as well, that we are here to serve the public. We have a lot of chaos going on in St. Louis County. We have factions, everybody, kind of like the State House, we got these people against these people. It's a lot of personal feelings. It's all of that. And what that does is it distracts from the real work that needs to be done. And we talk about this all the time when they have some kind of outlandish thing happen and we say it's a distraction. Well, it really is, because if you're spending all your time dealing with this foolishness over here, how is that helping people? How is that working for people? And so, what we're going to do is come in and focus on the work. We are going to come in. She might not agree with these folks all the time. She might not agree with these folks all the time, but we are concentrating on the work. And I think that if people who come into office concentrate on the work, then you don't have time for all of that other stuff. And I say this, Cornell gives this example all the time. My husband, he gives this example all the time. When we were in Moline, Cornell would go to work and the kids will be at the bus stop. So he goes to the corner, kids are at the bus stop, and they all standing in the street waiting on the bus. There's a whole sidewalk over here, but they stand in the middle of the damn street waiting on the bus. So he calls the boys over. He's like, why the hell y'all stand in the middle of the street? He said, well, that's where we always stand. And he said, tomorrow stand on the curb. And so when they got home, he explained to them, you all are the leaders. Everybody listens to you. Why would you then follow them into the street and stand in the street just because that's what they do, or that's because that's just how it is? Stand your ass on the curb. I'd be doggone if he didn't come down the street for the rest of the school year and all them kids were standing on the curb. So the issue is this, and this is something else that he says is leaders don't always lead. They're sitting on the sidelines letting fools lead, because fools have the gumption. They don't give a shit what they got to lose. You know, they got
right.
They go in here like, yeah, they strut them out. Ain't nobody. Okay, let me do it.
Right.
And then you find that leaders are either just standing there looking at them or following them. And that's unhealthy. That's an imbalance. So as a leader, if you are a leader like your son, stand out there. They gonna follow you. People are bandwagon people. I say it all the time. Black folks, really, we bandwagon people sometimes. We might talk shit the whole time you trying to do it and be like, ooh, why you doing that? Ooh, you know, and then as soon as it started going good, we'd be like, ooh, let me go with you. That's my cousin, you know. Am I lying?
That's the gospel.
So
that's the gospel.
We have to treat politics in the same way that we treat, you know, regular life. We have to be the ones to step out and be like, this is not well, let me handle it. You know, and people like you and I, we walk in and start running stuff. Just naturally in a situation, our energy, our spirit, we want it done. You know, we go in and I've learned throughout the years that it's the same in politics. Just let me in the room. I'm gonna run it. And so just give us the opportunity. And that's the stance that she'll be taking. And that's the stance that your son should take, because if he is interested, especially in politics, just treat it like life. You want to go in, you want to do a good job, you want to, you know, have that passion to serve, because my passion is not politics. I ain't even interested, but my passion is service, and my passion is helping my folks and ensuring that we have everything and fighting for having just as much as everyone else. And it's a damn shame we're fighting for just as much, but we have to fight, and we have to fight for it. And it takes passion, it takes work. And sometimes you got to stand your ass on the curb while everybody else standing in the street. So, yeah.
Wow, that's good stuff, man. That's wisdom there. And sticking with Georgia, I wanted to talk about just what I saw. You know, like sometimes a lot of things can happen in this news cycle, especially it happens so fast that you don't even realize all the revolutionary stuff that's really going on.
Yeah.
So for like, say, Kelly Leffner, for instance, she's part owner of a WNBA basketball team called the Atlanta Dream. Yeah. And she opened her mouth after the George Floyd murder and, you know, said some raggedy stuff about Black Lives Matter and whatnot. And the team that she employs, the people who she signs the checks for, actually came out and supported her opponent, Raphael Warnock, so much so that they came out with Warnock t-shirts on in the game.
I love Black women. It was some white ones too.
And this is why, but see, that goes back to the leadership, I think. Yeah. Because if the Black women weren't willing to stand up for it, why would the white women stand up?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So I want you to talk about, I mean, I need black women to get all the credit that they deserve for standing up on their square, as we like to say in St. Louis, standing on your square. To the boss.
It is. But at the end of the day, and we talk, I mean, you've said this a bunch about athletes. All of them got white bosses. NBA and the
Why you tripping? Right. Why you tripping?
White bosses, quite frankly. And you've spoken about this. She wouldn't have anything if they didn't go to work.
True story.
So and it's like a union, you know, if you being treated badly, you're gonna protest, you go do all these things. So I am not surprised, because the WNBA to me has been the leader in sport.
Yes, they have.
And mainly Black women.
Absolutely.
In speaking out and saying it's wrong. And so I do give them credit for doing it. But at the end of the day, they are what feeds her. They make her money. So I am not surprised at all by it. It makes me smile though all the time.
That's realizing your power.
That power concedes nothing without a demand. And so my heart, I'm having goosebumps thinking about it now. It warmed my heart. And what is she gonna do? Fire him?
Right.
They got contracts.
And
People want to buy the damn team anyway.
And let's go here. Oh yeah. People ready to buy the team. And let me say this for our Black brothers and sisters who are homophobic, a whole hell of a lot of them were gay women standing on their square, making change. You know what I'm saying? While y'all talking about them and calling them, names and stuff like that. I won't say the names, but y'all calling them names and that kind of stuff. And they out here changing the world.
But historically, Black women have been marginalized. We are always put down. I am finding in this navigation, and even in St. Louis County, that no matter what happens, we are still put in a place where we don't always necessarily know what to do, or they got to guide and lead her, and influence. And so it's as strong as we are, and as much as we do, people still discount it. I find that a lot of progressive white women are dismissive to Black women. I don't know if that's intimidation or jealousy. I don't necessarily, I'm trying to still figure out why it is, but I've seen these progressive white women scream to the mountaintops about Black Lives Matter or be on the Ferguson Commission and do all these things, but yet are dismissive to Black women and are
because they need to come in and save. They need to be kept to save a whole.
Dirty.
Okay.
A whole nutshell, because they want to be the ones to have saved them, forgetting that you all put Trump in office. Not progressive white women, but white women. and so more white women, voted for this moron. and then screams, "I'm not a racist. My son's kids are Black," or something or things like that. So I'm not surprised by it. I am excited to see that Black women are saying, "I don't give a damn about what you think. I'm still gonna do it." Black women are standing up like, "Well, shit, we might as well go and do it. We're tired of waiting on somebody else to do it." We're the most educated people in the country. So we are now coming into that power and being unafraid to come into that power with the hope that Black men will follow, that they would follow more, because there are a lot, but with the hope that they would say, "Okay, let me go on and take this. I got this now," or "Here, let me walk beside you." That's the hope, but I'm gonna keep hope alive.
Keep hope alive.
We are.
I want to give some shout outs too, and that's part of the reason why I want to have you on, because I was very impressed. And maybe I'm wrong, but because I'm just going by what I know. You're inside politics in terms of being in the arena. When I saw the COO of the Georgia Secretary of State, Gabriel Sterling, stand up to all their pressure and say, "Hey, these are the votes. This is what it is. I'm a Republican, but this is what it is."
They trying to get me to lie.
They trying to get me to lie.
He tattle-told and everything.
Spilled all the tea.
Oh God.
And then you got a Lindsey Graham calling those guys. And then came out and lied about it. So they had to tape Trump on a whole hour diatribe. Yeah. And I wanted to give credit to the Georgia Board of Elections.
Yeah.
For, although they got a majority, Republican staff, if you will, staying true to the integrity of the vote.
It's not to say that all Republicans are terrible people. I have very good Republican friends here. Actually, the head of the Board of Elections here is Rick Stream. You remember him? He ran for county executive.
I do.
And I supported him as a Republican for county executive in his time. So, and now he's the head of the election board. And there was some question even here as to whether or not, he would run a fair election. Um, I don't necessarily place Republicans and Democrats in like this one is bad and this one isn't, because I've been screwed over by some Democrats too.
Of course, sure. Yeah.
So, I appreciate the fact that these good humans did the right thing. And I think we forget and we get lost in that name, Republican, Democrat, because we have to be good humans. And these good humans saw that Trump probably got on their damn nerves by now, but we saw that they were going to not tarnish their name, throw away their entire career and reputation for one man. And we've seen over the last 4 years that people have had great legacies and now are tarnished and tainted. History is not going to be kind to these people. And these Black folks too, some of these Black folks who when it came out, and Ben Carson, for one.
Tim Scott.
We revered Ben Carson though. I mean, like he was
he was look, Ben Carson was he was in my history social studies. His picture was on the board.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
We revered him.
Yeah.
Now he has destroyed his legacy for one man. And so what we saw in Georgia was a group of folks who was like, this shit finna be over with anyway. And I still gotta live. I still have to live beyond that. And some people are like, I gotta sleep at night. I have to sleep at night. I gotta be able to look in the mirror. And so I think a lot of that was the Lindsey Graham thing. Like, I'm not gonna be intimidated by you. And yeah, it happened. But then when now you coming at me again, let me cover my ass and push the record button just in case you will try to say that because if you are truly politically astute, you see it coming. If you're a selfish politician who just want what they want, narcissistic, you got all that going on, you feel like Steve Stenger, like Trump. I'm just gonna run over people until such time that they gone. And that's not smart. If you're politically astute, you say, I see the writing on the wall and this is gonna happen. Okay. And so then you start making those determinations as to where you're gonna be when the history books get written. So, I applaud them for doing the right thing. People always want credit for shit they supposed to do. No, they Chris.
Yeah, but the reason why I thought of it that way, because I didn't say the same thing about Arizona or Pennsylvania or Michigan or Wisconsin, is because this was the same group of people that took away, that did Stacey Abrams the way they did just a few years ago. So that's why I was really surprised.
Well, when you got caught, you ain't gonna try to do the same thing again, or are you? I mean, and that's where her credit comes. That is to her credit. She sewed that up. She sewed that pocket because she saw the hole and she saw where things kind of went wrong. So, and then like when y'all playing sports and coaching, you concentrate on the weakness and you see the weakness and then you adjust and you pivot. And so that's where the credit comes to her, to have seen where the shit went bad. And we gonna make sure that this thing doesn't happen again. And they would have been fools politically to have done the same thing under these circumstances, knowing that they're being watched, totally watched. And knowing that, and then she also registered more people came out. She galvanized them, because if you only depend on these certain, what they call frequent voters, then your chances of winning are according to that frequency. If you go out and change the frequency, then you have a better shot. And they did that. They worked very hard to get new voters, to get them engaged, to get them to the polls, and to get them excited enough to realize that they changed history.
They did.
They did. And you feel good, when you do that. So yeah, still, but now the question is 2 years from now, where are we going to be? And we really, really got to focus on 2 years from now. I mean, on January 21st, we need to be getting candidates, developing candidates. and helping the ones that are there who are doing the right thing to stay where they are.
Mm-hmm. So before we get to the coup d'etat, uh, I just want to point this out. I'm not so much the if person, because if was the fifth, we'd all be drunk. But
if and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas.
right, that too. I like that one. But what has really amazed me since the Obama years
Mhm.
is that all the lies that white folks told were revealed
Won't he do it?
so very quickly about the principles that they said they stood on.
Mhm.
So the Constitution, it's one of them. Remember, where, Obama wasn't, even though he was a constitutional lawyer and professor, he obviously knew about it. He didn't do nothing, right? He didn't do nothing but support the Constitution. But, all that shit they said about the Constitution, being ass fucked by foreign dictators, again, if was a fifth, right? Corruption and nepotism.
Yep.
All these things that states' rights.
Yep.
States' rights. And here you have people in Texas and
Mhm.
all these other states talking about somebody else's election, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
What happened to the states' rights? I am like, and like this shit happened quickly. Like, you know what I'm
Yep.
saying? All the stuff they said that they was about when the shoe was on the other foot, all these principles just freaking went out the window. The rule of law. The rule of law. Like, how quickly? Like, that's like the universe working in hyperspeed.
Mhm.
That all the stuff they stood on, that they said they were standing on, right?
Mhm.
They turned around and did the total opposite
Mhm.
in the face of all logic and theory. And I put a motherfucker on it for you ignorant niggas can hear me. You know what I'm saying? All of that.
Yeah.
And it's like, so now it's like they have no credibility whatsoever. And can we end this? Can we please end this? Because I was talking to somebody about this the other day. Like you said, there's some Democrats who screwed you over. So Black people who are nuanced and understand the game,
Mhm.
we don't think Democrats are saviors. Like, we knew it wasn't about fucking OJ. It was about the LAPD. You know what I'm saying? We didn't care about OJ. It was the bigger picture. It was the LAPD. So it's not like we sitting here grabbing Democrats nuts. It's not like that. You know what I'm saying?
Not at all.
But we do understand strategy, where you are with these Republicans right now.
Mhm.
And even like you said, which are, you just talked about the progressive white women who you have to check.
All
So
the
we constantly check it. We constantly check it.
time.
But can we please, because a lot of my really well-meaning white friends, and I say this in all sincerity, well-meaning, they have gotten to we have the liberal, okay, the media, even if you want to call it liberal media, they have gotten so caught up in this both sides things where there's issues on both sides, and they've delved into these false equivalents. See, it's one thing to criticize a Republican or criticize a Democrat and call it what it is on its merits, but we can't have these false equivalents, and we are majoring on false equivalents. So when somebody like Trump does some crazy over the top wild shit, they'll say stuff like, "Yeah, you're right." A lot of my white friends, her and Pelosi. I had a friend of mine send me this thing about with the kente cloth thing, right? When they was thinking that I should be insulted by it. I'm like, dude, with all the things going on in this world, you think I give a damn about some kente cloth? And
Hello.
and if the what you call it, Congressional Black Congress.
Uh-huh.
If they say to put the kente cloth on, so shit the least you could do. It ain't nothing but a symbol, you know what I'm saying? But I'm sorry. This quote unquote pandering that Nancy Pelosi is doing to me it's not a real thing. It ain't shit. It ain't got nothing to do with policy. It ain't got nothing to do with us being hacked by the Russians. You know what I'm saying? Could be able to shut our grids down. What is up with this both sides? Can we please dispel the both sides?
So way back in the 90s when Dr. Phil was half-ass relevant, he said something, he said a couple things, very profound. One of them is that when you point your finger, you got three fingers pointing back at you.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the problem, because we want to say, but what about? But what about? Instead of correcting the issue, instead of correcting the wrong, we want to do this. And we can't. I mean, and it really didn't happen suddenly. It was very subtly, is what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Let's even go to Michelle Obama when she didn't have on sleeves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Oh my God. What first lady shows her arms? The new first lady was butt ass naked kissing a woman in a magazine.
Butt ass naked. That's all out.
She's the most beautiful first lady. The classiest one to ever grace the White House. It was subtle. And it's always been subtle because the rules are not the same for us. And so because the rules are not the same for us, it's always yeah, but.
But it wasn't about her damn arms in the first place. It was about her color.
About her arms.
Right.
It never was, because it's yeah, but.
Right.
And we yeah, but, because the same rules do not apply to us that apply to them. And so, of course, sociology teaches us that we have to have a hierarchy, that humans have this innate need for a hierarchy. And in order to feel like you are better than someone else, you have to do some bullshit to somebody. That's why poor white folks still think they better than us. Mm-hmm. Gutter white folks think they better than Dave Stewart at Worldwide Technologies. Mm-hmm. You know, mm-hmm. And you live in a trailer park. Mm-hmm. So there's always this need. And so because socioeconomically we have the abilities, not as much as white folks, but we have the ability to make money, there has to be something else. And race is that something else. And so it is always subtle. And so when you're talking about people who are hypocrites, I mean, absolute hypocrites, we are talking about people who want to say something that suits them. They never gave a shit about a constitution. They gave
exactly. That was my
guns.
thing, right?
They wanted guns,
right? And
they probably ain't never even read the Constitution. I know the preamble. They ain't never even read the damn Constitution. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so all they cared about was guns. That's what they cared about. And states' rights only applies when your state doing what you wanted to do. Mm-hmm. But in abusive relationships, mm-hmm. you will take the bad shit you do and turn it around and make the victim think that it's their fault that it's happening. So
I'm sorry I had to slap you around a little bit. If you just would not do the shit you do, I wouldn't have to beat your ass this way.
And that's where we are. And for us, I don't think that game really applies to us more so than it is to white folks, and a reason why they do the things that they do. You know, Republicans are so far gone in this situation that I think they're going to, well, they have imploded. They have to find their way back. You know, Democrats had the same thing when they were Dixiecrats. You know, their belief system imploded, and they have to now find their way back to whatever the center is. And right now what we're witnessing is this really deep divide. And I really think that we, Black folks, have the opportunity to do what it is that I'm saying that Shalonda is going to do. We're going to focus on the work. We're going to focus on the work. Cornell would be mad at me sometimes because as politically astute as I am, I don't watch the news. Mm-hmm. In 4 years, have heard that moron speak maybe 3 times. Mm-hmm. I think that he kills my brain cells when he talks.
Oh yeah, the more you listen, the dumber you get.
Exactly. So yeah. I'm not going to do it. I don't have to know what he said. I know he's an idiot. Right. I'm not surprised by anything that happens because I know he's an idiot. So I do that even still with Democrats and Republicans too, because at the end of the day, if what you're doing doesn't push our the agenda forward, then I'm really not interested in your fiery damn speeches, and I'm not interested in your shade throwing and all of that. And I think that they do that for the masses in order to indoctrinate the masses into agreeing with them so they can, forward whatever bullshit agenda that they have. So no, I have had Democrats that have treated me poorly. I have had Democrats I thought were my friends, and then Ferguson happened, and
Oh
then
yeah, yeah, yeah. Tell me
saw where
about
they
it.
were,
Yeah, tell me about
with
it.
it. And I'm not mad at them. I just know how they move, and now I know how to
Exactly.
you. And so it's not, so it doesn't create an emotion. And a lot of us, we operate out of emotion, and politics is not an emotional game.
Mm-hmm.
But politicians are playing on your emotions to get you on their side. This is not an emotional game for me. I have had Republicans treat me better than some of my family members.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just about the person that's dealing with it. But for us, we got to get that noise out of our heads. We really, really do. And we got to stop feeding into that indoctrination that's happening. And but that's an abusive situation. It's abusive. It's mentally abusive to say, yeah, I did this, but what about so and so, and what about so and so? Because those three fingers are pointing back at you, and the shit you're doing is 3 times worse than what it is you're accusing somebody else of doing. Did
Right.
I answer the question?
No, you did. You did. You did. So speaking of which, when I first, so like yourself, I hadn't watched 45 the last 4 years. I really hadn't. So even if he's on the news, and when they show him, I'll be like, I turn the
Yep.
channel until he's done talking. So this past Wednesday was the first time I ever watched a speech, and the reason why I watched it is because no, let me tell you why I watched it.
Cells died.
Huh?
How many brain cells you killed?
No,
Did you
no,
count?
it was no none because it was so. This was me. This was me. I knew he was all in his whiny little bitchness because they were about to certify these votes. So the only reason I watched was to laugh. That's the reason why I watched because I
Yeah.
just want to see him, rant and rave and talk shit. So I was just like, whoo, that's so funny. Go on and say what you got to say.
Uh-huh.
Well, uh, what I didn't realize, well, put it this way, because I knew that these folks was wild because he had already told them they was coming, and because they had already tried to kidnap the governor of Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
I figured what I didn't anticipate was that the Capitol would, open the gates and you know what I'm saying. So what I
At the
didn't
same
anticipate was
time,
that I was
the
that.
U-turn.
So yeah, yeah, yeah. So what I didn't realize was that I wasn't surprised they went to the Capitol all of that, but I just because again they had already tried to kidnap the governor of Michigan
Yeah.
that they would be ready. What I didn't anticipate was the inside job.
What?
No, I did not anticipate the
Yeah.
inside job. No, I did. No, did I'm not surprised, but I didn't anticipate that you would have all these
Happened.
senators,
That
congressmen. You got the whole United States Senate up in
obviously
there.
it was obvious. You didn't think it would be so obvious.
I didn't think I didn't
Going
expect them to
11
shoot down like they shot us, like they shoot us down. But I didn't suspect they was gonna be like, all right, come on in, y'all, hey.
selfies with them.
So I know you were working. How much of that did you see in real time?
Uh, I'll tell you, I didn't see a lot of it, I would say, in real time because I knew it was happening in real time, but I
Mhm.
wouldn't watch it. I wasn't going to watch it. I think that we only have so many life minutes on this earth. And as much time as I've spent in politics, I don't need to waste life minutes on watching what is going to happen.
Mhm.
I prayed that the innocent people involved would be safe. I knew it was happening. Cornell watched it. He was just glued to the damn TV.
I was
Like
too. Yeah,
I
I was
can't
too.
get my spirit and my anxiety up over it. So I watched a little here and a little there because social media give you the play by play. You ain't never got to
True.
leave your house.
True.
So
True. True.
I did watch a few live minutes, but not a whole lot. Um, I'm not surprised. Again, I've said from day one, from moment one, especially when they opened up them things right there. Remember they did that if we check the PTO records of all of the police departments across the country, I'll bet money that a lot of them wasn't at work. And the ones that was at work are the ones who couldn't get off work because they ain't had the seniority. That's what I say. I say that we are treated. Well, it's now obvious that we are treated differently. They knew they were coming. Everybody knew they were coming. The president told America they was coming, and so to have not been prepared lets me know that that was purposeful. To have not had people on the Capitol steps with guns and mace and them big ass shields like they did in Ferguson and even in Florissant this past year. No, not have the National Guard there. It just lets me know that um, that this was something that they wanted to happen. And I find it so interesting because like the Capitol House haven't been breached since the 1800s. Since the 18 damn hundreds. And I think
1814, the War of 1812.
exactly. And they burned the motherfucker down. So, but I think about not just, I know they keep bringing up this woman who made this U-turn and this sniper shot him. I think about people who have climbed over the fence because they had mental issues and were killed. Over the years, I mean, it's been years, people have been shot off, never made it past the damn gate. And you've been shot from the rooftop. And I bet you $100,000, if y'all start shooting from the rooftops, this shit would have never happened. Would have never happened. When my sons went to Washington for school, they were in middle school, and Baby Cornell was saying how they were leaned up on the gate. He had his arm wrapped around the gate poles. And they told him, get your hands off that gate. Be careful how you move around this gate because there are snipers. He said he looked up and he saw them from the roof. And so to say to me that they didn't have control of the situation is bullshit, quite frankly. Because I'm telling you, and we've been in wars and we've seen things to say that if you start shooting from the rooftop and people don't know where them bullets coming from, and you pick off 2, 3, or 4 of them, they gonna back the fuck up. Everybody's gonna back up.
True story.
So I don't even think there were snipers on the roof on that day. Knowing
I don't think so either. From what you're telling me, I didn't even know they had snipers on the roof at the Capitol.
So I'm not surprised by it. But what it has done is like you said, put up a mirror to. And then I'm sorry. How the fuck does one say, come to the Capitol? It's a revolution. We gonna be there because our president, we gonna stop this. If we have to storm the Capitol, all this built up, all these prominent white supremacists, all on Facebook, with 2 teeth in their whole head between 6 of them, have this whole like, we finna do it. And then the shit happens. And then they say, that was Antifa. How does that happen? Like we took, like the people took 2 teeth out their head.
Jedi mind tricker. They tried to Jedi mind tricker. But for these last 4 years, everything they've said, I mean, nobody else checked the shit anyway. So fuck, why not?
Exactly. Black Lives Matter people. That one little stupid retarded looking brother standing in. That was a little crazy.
It was a few.
But how do you announce that it's gonna be all this? But they the ones that stormed it. But then you look at the footage. Why did you do this? Because my president is a revolution and crazy.
And he played him because he said that he was gonna be there with him, and he took his ass back to the White House.
He went in the bunker because we already know who he is. We already know who he is. I find it marginalized people, I guess, tend to follow people who makes them feel less marginalized. And so I think that that's an issue. I mean, he Jim Jones them people like no other. And it's amazing to me, and to even see people still defending this, that
Well,
people are still defending it.
let me ask you this. Do you really think, because sometimes with my thinking self, uh, I try to analyze, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to separate what people are saying and whether what they really may or may not really believe. So for all these people to be like, there's all this, evidence of election fraud and this, that, and the other, do you think they really believe that?
I don't think they care. I think that they have finally gotten a piece of power. I think we maybe talked about this some years ago. They finally got a little bit of power, and they don't want to let it go.
Okay.
Remember the Tea Party,
Yes, I do.
and remember how they were rising. What they were doing is they were speaking for these marginalized people, these dirt poor white folks who don't have a voice because we've taken something from them.
Mhm.
They brainwashed these folks to think that we took something from them. And they finally got this voice. Now they fizzled out quickly because it wasn't a lot of them. But all of this is a resurrection of the Tea Party principles and values and all of that. So when Trump came along, those Tea Partiers woke back up. And then those other Republicans, they kind of came along, but it's amazing in the same sense of us and what happened in Georgia. They were like, oh my God. And they voted for him and he won.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like the November elections in Georgia. They won. Oh, let's do this shit again. Now we've given power and a voice to people who don't even know how to use it. Power and a voice to people who have felt like they've been stepped on for years and years, and power and a voice to people who are extraordinarily racist. They think we took something from them. So now they get to, and these strategic Republicans who don't want to get their hands dirty, use them.
Mm-hmm.
Use them to do all the dirty stuff. And I'll even say with that moron in office, these strategic Republicans used him to further their agenda, to put these people on the Supreme Court, all of this, because when the shit hit the fan, he's gonna go down for it.
Mm.
And Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell, but there were many others,
Mm-hmm.
who got what they wanted, and he's the scapegoat for it. And he doesn't even realize or recognize that he got played too.
Mm.
Shit. So he's a moron. It doesn't matter. These people are being used, and so now here we are. Now the mirror's been up. Now the mirror's up to this country and to the world. Now you everybody sees this country for what it is. The bigger question is where do we go from here? And I think for us, we got to be very, 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 very strategic, and we have to be on our square.
Mm-hmm.
I can't stand spineless ass people. I really can't. And we can't get here and get there and be like, well, because we nice, we forgive people, even though they stole from us and the crack,
Mm-hmm.
our crackhead cousin came to the TV. We gonna still let them come in. We can't do that. We cannot do that.
Yeah,
We
I think the image I've got in my head is that probably would stay with me the most is the police helping these older people down the steps, arm in arm and stuff like that. Whereas if they would have been black folks, they just kind of been rolling down like pigs.
While they in the Capitol. When they went in the Galleria, remember when those people stormed the gallery? Remember that older black lady, and they maced her, smushed her face down.
Yes.
They are criminals.
Yeah, even and I think the one of the most telling two things is how they did the police, and how I don't see Blue Lives Matter. I don't see none of these people there. You know what I mean? I haven't seen them. So you talked about
it was at the Capitol.
Right. So before we go, before we go, I wanted to ask you about a guy who I hadn't heard of until maybe 2 weeks ago. And it seems like I don't know whether his career is going to take off or whether it's really going to fizzle like they say it is. Josh Hawley. who the hell is Josh Hawley? Because I hadn't heard of him until maybe, like I said, 2 weeks ago when they first started saying that they were going to dispute the election results.
Who is Josh Hawley?
Who is Josh Hawley?
That's a good question, because quite frankly, we don't necessarily know who he is. Josh Hawley's really never lived in Missouri. I don't even understand how he even came about to be where he is. And I think he rode the coattails of Eric Greitens, because, that was when all of this was, this extremism, because, Missouri has always been like a backwards, I'm not gonna call it conservative state, because they're really not conservative, more so than they're just racist. So I think he rode the coattails of the Eric Greitens situation and got in the state house, and then ran against Claire McCaskill. Claire McCaskill at the time was not an exciting candidate. I like her personally, but not an exciting candidate. She was very central, and sometimes, and so she didn't win the hearts of anybody, Black folks who helped put her in the office didn't really feel like, they weren't excited by her because they didn't feel like she's done anything, to help Black folks. It didn't help that she was pissing off, Black senators with a great Twitter handle. So,
what did she do to piss people off?
She made specific comments about things, but also she didn't bring any resources to the area. And then she made some comments, specifically about Maria Chappelle Nadal, who, my girl, I love Maria. I like a fiery girl, So she made some comments that she probably shouldn't have. I mean, because you just don't talk about Black women, You just don't. So she made comments during a specific time, and again, she just wasn't there, and so he came in at a time where this whole state was starting to really swing, Donald Trump, Greitens, extreme. Like one of the commercials was him shooting, Eric Greitens shooting AK-47. Oh,
I remember, I saw that, yeah.
It just riled people up. So he lucked out. I'm not gonna lie. She didn't work hard, and he lucked out. And so he got there. You don't really know anything about him because he's not done anything, but I was gonna say something really terrible. Let me say it nicely. Rode the nuts of Donald Trump. That's the nicest way I can say it.
But him not being from Missouri, how does he run for that seat without Missouri backers?
He has an address somewhere in outstate Missouri. Again, Josh Hawley didn't win. Claire McCaskill lost.
Okay.
And so again, I call it, I'd say he's just at the right place at the right time, in the right place at the right time, because Republicans hated Claire McCaskill. I mean, she barely won the last time. So if I were Claire, I would have shored up my base a little bit better, knowing that was, coming in 2 years, that they were going to come back harder in 2 years. I would have done that, and she didn't. I mean, the campaign was not very well ran. She wasn't present. He just cruised. I mean, he really did. So, you get an address somewhere, and I believe he was born here or something. I don't even really too much know about it, but he spent the bulk of his time in Virginia. And so, kind of like another Black representative we know that ain't in office no more. You spend all your time not in the state that you're serving, and then screaming that you're fighting for the people that you serve. And I think his bigger aspiration was to run for president. That's what we hear. But he's an idiot. I mean, he's just white man, y'all. Get it together. I mean, you're so frail. It's so frail, but yet do things that make you have to get your ass beat, but then you run. You know? So
Yeah, and I guess
strange to me.
and I guess though, but see what I'm asking too is of all the other Republican um, office holders or whatnot in Missouri, like he has to get, because he doesn't live there. He doesn't he have to get the endorsement of other Missouri Republicans for him to even run for that seat, as opposed to some other lifelong Missourian running for that seat?
Well, he did take an office in the state house. He wasn't there long. I'm trying to remember what he was, Secretary of State or something. I don't even remember he was here that quickly.
Okay.
So he was elected to the state house, and so he didn't even finish the term. I don't think he did 2 years. He may have done a couple years. And the strategy is to, if you win the state, you could go ahead and go to the U.S. House or Senate. That's generally the that's the strategy that folks use, and you can always tell who's trying to run for higher office by how they do it and how they pop up out of nowhere. And so there really wasn't anybody that had really made a big splash, I guess, with the Republicans, and the pool was so large. He ran in the primary. I really thought a more conservative, Republican would have won under normal circumstances, but again, we ended the Trump, Greitens, extreme situation, and he was the most extreme of them all. And let's not forget that campaigns changed when corporations became people. And
Yeah.
give unlimited
Yeah. I
amounts
hear
of
you. I hear you. I hear you. Okay.
and
So that
so
makes
a
sense.
lot of his money was not local money,
Okay.
and he had a lot. So he came out of nowhere, spent some time in the state house, and just leapfrogged into this position at a time when it was right. And we got to start doing that, y'all. I just want to be clear, because sometimes we see an opportunity and the time is right for someone to do something, but then we'll say, oh, maybe not, or no, let me wait my turn. No, your turn is now. The time is now, young people. The time is now. Start now.
Okay. So we're gonna have you back to talk about just from a nationwide perspective. Now that we've got the House, we got the Senate, we got the presidency, what needs to be done? What kind of policies need to happen? While we got this majority, because President Obama had the same for a while. Yes, for 2 years. But what do you expect, before we go, what do you expect to happen between now and the 20th?
I don't expect Donald Trump to be impeached. I mean, I expect him to be impeached. I don't expect the Senate to really do anything. Because they talk mad shit right now. Oh my God, this is so not us. Oh my God, this is terrible. What the president did was terrible. But when it comes down to the vote, they are not voting for what's right. They're voting for what the people who elected them, or what's good for their base. So I don't expect anything from that. I do not expect the 25th Amendment to be involved, because they ain't had the balls to deal with him all this time. Would make me think that they have it to deal with him now, because again, everybody in politics, which is why you young people got to run, is worried about their next election, their ass, and so I don't expect. I pray that there is a peaceful transition in terms of them getting sworn in. I really prefer them to be sworn in on Zoom in 3 different places, and there's only 2 of them. So I really hope that, but I would not be surprised if there was another situation like this.
That's what I was going to ask you. Were you expecting another violent uprising?
I really do. And I expected, because actually some states had it in their state house, because they had some uprisings in the Missouri State House, but it wasn't a lot of folks, probably because they was in DC. But they had people come there, so I wouldn't be surprised if there was some. I think we need to really pay attention to Georgia, especially because they are in the forefront. They may do something there, but I would not be surprised. I am fairly certain that there is more to come, where this is concerned. I'm glad that Twitter and Facebook had the sense enough to suspend his ass, because he would have stoked this fire and it would have gone on for weeks and weeks and weeks, until somebody was truly hurt. One of the senators or representatives, and we got to keep in mind that these are people's children and fathers and mothers and grandmothers. The humanity in all of this has been lost. It's been lost. And so hopefully it won't. I pray that it's not, but it would not surprise me one bit. I'm just gonna look like this. So it's not gonna be quiet. These next 2 weeks, a few weeks are gonna be filled with a lot of emotions, and a lot of strife. But aren't you afraid, though, that now these people gonna go back in the closet, nothing really is really gonna change? Because that's all we're doing. We're suppressing them again and pushing
All of what people's particularly?
these folks who believe that they've been done wrong. These really racist individuals who went on to become police officers quietly, because now they are going to go back, kind of, I guess, like Marvel movies, go back into their layers or whatever, and then come back even
I don't know
stronger.
that they've been in the closet. I think
No,
that I think I
it's been
think
subtle.
yeah, subtle, like you said, but I think a lot more subtle, because look, the Justice Department has already said several times that over the last several years that white supremacist groups are the biggest terrorist threat to the United States. That's been
Exactly.
said, but you
Mhm.
got to go to certain places to hear that. Maybe in this administration that will be more out there. So they haven't been in the closet. It's just that they haven't been talked about.
Mhm.
The mainstream media, if you will, quote unquote, it's not been on the forefront to say, it's like kind of like a little blurb on the side, but it hasn't been like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. I think a lot of people feel like, oh yeah, that's just those people over there. You know what I mean? But they don't. So there, it's not being talked about where people are really aware that they're the biggest terrorist group.
Well, they are, but I was more talking about the boss at your job who isn't a racist but will never hire a black person. Now
Mm-hmm.
say I ain't hiring black people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
yeah.
now the ones that the key fob Karens and all of
Mm-hmm.
those folks, they were always there, but
Right.
they really came out.
No,
And
I don't think they're going to go back. I think they'll stay out. I think they
I
got something to springboard from, and now they felt like they in a revolution. I mean, because they president got something stolen from them, so they got to keep up the fight.
but they ain't got no job either. So
That ain't
so
matter.
that
It's the
no,
status. It's the
it
status
it
in your mind.
it hadn't at the time, but now that they had carte blanche to be who they are, so now when we go back to not giving them that, now they got to go back to acting like they got some sense. Now they matter. And so I'm just curious to see, you know, how that happens. Like with the Tea Party when they fizzled out, you didn't hear anything, but now here we are, Tea Party 2.0, because
Hmm.
that's really what it is,
Right.
2.0 coming up. And I say it because our problem is we have very short attention spans and we have selective amnesia. And with that, if we allow them to go back and be quiet and then we get comfortable again, we're
Hmm.
only going to have the same situation. So what we need to learn from this situation is that we always have to be on point and we always have to be mindful and we always have to even look at them, at folks like, hmm, okay, I see what you're doing. Remembering what did happen and seeing like deja vu. We don't really have a lot of deja vu. We just be like, oh, why are they doing that? And
Hmm.
3 months ago, somebody did you exactly the same way. And you don't put two and two together, like, oh, it's that type of dude that's doing me like that. And that's not for me, me being fearful that they are going to do anything. It's more of us trying. We need to be more aware. We need to be more offensive rather than defensive, because we've been on the defense for 4 years and we
Hmm.
tired. We are tired. And so everything that happens in this new administration, we really have to figure out and how to be offensive, how to work for legislation that's going to keep this stable instead of putting band-aids on issues. So that's what we're working on right now, just trying to figure out how to do some long-term foundation building so that we not looking like, what the hell just happened? It was so sudden when it really wasn't. We just wasn't paying attention. And we just didn't put these two and two together to make it one whole picture. So I'm prayerful, I'm hopeful, but we'll see.
I tell you what, as we close this out, I want to thank you for your time again and your insights. The thing that I want to really put a footnote on is that what you said about number one, be a leader. Be a leader. I think the example you gave about your sons standing on the corner and what your husband did, I think that's telling. Do the work. Do the work. I've had plenty of people say, Chris, you should run for this, you should run for that, and I just don't think that that's my work. At least not today anyway. If it ever is, and that's like you said, I want to do, be a public servant, then that would be something different. But I believe that even this podcast is my work. It's my work to spread this information. It's what I'm really passionate about. Uh, so what I would say to America is, capping this off, is, hey, know what your work is and be about it, because it all counts. It all counts. It's all the little droplets of water. They count. They add something. They add something to the rivers, and the rivers flow to the oceans, and so forth.
Mhm.
It's not to sit around and be passive. You have to participate.
Get off the
You have
side.
to participate
Get
in
off
the things that you want and the things that you desire. It doesn't have to be really big and huge. It doesn't have to be mainstream. It doesn't have to be necessarily public, or where you're getting limelight. Uh,
Mhm. Well, the real work is being done by those not in the limelight. Let's be clear.
exactly,
Let's
exactly.
be
It's
clear.
like exactly. You see the singer on TV, but the
Mhm.
real work was done by the producer, the engineers, the songwriters. All that practice and
The
stuff
vocal coach.
that they put it, the vocal coach, right? All those, right. So we have to see where our significance is.
Mhm.
That it's in the everyday, daily grinding. And
Mhm.
if you don't know where your space is, hey, all you got to do is take some time, get quiet, and think about what moves you, what you're really passionate about, what provokes you to emotion, what makes you sad, what makes you happy, what makes you sorry. Uh, that's where it is. And you just start somewhere. No, but you have to be a part of your own solution if that's what you want. You can't sit on the sidelines and wait for somebody else to do it and then bitch complain. It ain't
Exactly.
gonna happen.
And at the very least, don't do nothing to fuck up somebody else's stuff. Don't be critical. Don't do anything that will keep the next person from being the leader that they should be. I mean, at the very least, just be a decent human
And stay the hell out of the way. If you don't know, stay out of the way of everybody
and,
else. Right.
and if you ain't gonna help, quit
Right.
bitching and moaning and complaining and talking shit about people and just go and sit over there if you're not going to. I mean, because a lot of times people have been discouraged or have lost by the inaction of others and also the criticism of those who just really want to sit back and criticize. We have to be more supportive vocally for one another, and if we're not going to do it, at least see what small help you can be to help them get forward, or just shut the hell up. Really, I'm sorry, y'all. Just stop trying to stop people from doing good things.
Amen. So I
That's
want to
another.
thank you again, and hey, know that you already know I got your back anyway. And so congratulations on getting back into the game. See, this is what we're talking about. She's got back into the game. She left the job that she was very satisfied and happy with to
Very
work
satisfied,
very
happy.
satisfied. You know what I'm saying? She's not 22. How old are you now, Shonte?
I'm 48. I'll be 49 January 25th.
See, so a birthday coming up, and so here you talking about a person almost 50 years old who left a nice job that she really satisfied with to get back into the game of public service, and she's not the face, but she's the person supporting the face, which is Councilwoman Shalonda Webb. So, uh, man, again, congratulations on that. This is an example. So we ain't just talking. You know what I'm saying? We're not just talking. This is person really making a life. She has a family. She's got kids in college. She's got a husband. She got a lot of stuff going on. She got a sugar wooger that she takes care of. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot going on. People's lives. Her life is no less busy than yours. You know, she don't have anything less going on than what you do. Same with me. I'm doing my podcast. Hey, I got busy life. I got kids, grandkids, wife, responsibilities, regular job. I referee. We do all of these things. So, but this is part of what I do. It's just part of what I do. So again, hey, thank you for joining us. But make sure, I don't want you to just be a spectator. Make sure you're doing whatever you can to impact your world, to impact your household, your neighborhood, your community, wherever you fit in. You make sure you get in. Any
To
last
know
words
that
for Shonte?
even one life has changed because you lived, this is to have succeeded.
Say it again. I'm sorry.
To know that even one life has changed because you lived, this is to have succeeded.
See there.
This is how I live my life.
See there. So
So,
that's what we're gonna leave with. Hey man, do the work. Be about the work. Thank you, Shonte.
thank you, baby.
Be good.
All right, love to the wife.
You're very good. You too. Bye bye.